Okay, everybody, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Dennis with you, and it's time for another edition of the Barksdale Bubble, everybody, where we, of course, are going to go in every single one of our podcasts and bring up and talk a little bit about the Barksdale Bubble, but we're going to tie it in as well with some interesting as far as interviews are concerned with it. By the way, if you missed any of the other podcasts, make sure you go check them out and download them as well, because I think we have a couple of them out there already. One of them deals with talking about the Barksdale Bubble, and another one deals with extreme social media weather forecasting and what it is doing these days to actual meteorologists who are trying to go and get the weather out there. So we have a couple of those already there that you can go and check out. But today's is one that sort of, in a way, uses modern day technology, but also remembering the importance of having actual and numerous weather observations across an area. And if I'm not mistaken, there's about 30 states out there that have these Mesonet networks out there. So you're saying, Patrick, what in the world is a Mesonet network? The Mesonet itself. Well, in this case here, we're talking about the Louisiana State Mesonet. So I actually have a couple of guests joining us right now, and they're joining us via Zoom. And matter of fact, coming from the campus of ULM over in Monroe. ULM is one of the universities in the country, and also here in the Northeast Louisiana, actually have a meteorology program over there. So I have joining us right now Dylan Hall and Emily. Emily, I never even asked you beforehand. Is you got newbie or newbie? Is it
newbie? It's the second one.
Okay, newbie on it there. Okay, so we have Emily joining us there. We have Dylan. So I guess, guys, before we jump into everything of what you guys are doing, I want to ask you a question. Have either one of you, and I think Dylan probably has, either one of you ever heard of the Barksdale Bubble before?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I know why, because actually, Dylan, you went to school over here, didn't you, in Northwest Louisiana High School, right?
Yes, I went to CE Bird.
Okay, so the Barksdale Bubble, it seems to be that people are referencing these days anytime we have a weather event going on, and it's like, why did it stop raining here? Well, the Barksdale Bubble was activated there. We have Barksdale Air Force Base. As a meteorologist, what do you think every time? I'm just curious, somebody with your background there, somebody that hears folks talking about the Barksdale Bubble. Do you shake your head sometimes, or do you say, I don't know, I might believe it? I'm just curious, what's your take?
Most of the time I just shake my head, but you never know. There's all kinds of technologies we don't know about, so.
Yeah, and this actually, Dylan, in a way, sort of ties in to what you all do. By the way, Emily, if you're not familiar with it, Barksdale is Barksdale Air Force Base, and people think that the government is there, and for some reason they activate a button, and then for some reason or another the weather diverts itself and never happens. So, yeah, that's what we're doing.
I can appreciate a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, so anyway, but this is sort of weird, though, in a way, because I think it highlights something with what you all deal with. Because I told somebody that, I'll give you an example. If you look at weather observations, which I know you two do, and you look at the National Weather Service in Shreveport, it could be an easily 3 degrees warmer there than it is just 2 miles down the road because of what's around it. So I believe that Barksdale Air Force Base could affect something with temperatures or something like that. And that's where I'm bringing you two on board. We're talking about today Louisiana State Mesonet. So I guess first I'll start with Emily. What exactly is that? Because I know some people might say, what's the Mesonet? So explain that to us a little bit.
Yeah, Mesonet's a big fancy word for it's a weather station. If you want to break it down, for the word itself, meso comes from like a mesocyclone with meteorology, and then the net part of it's the network that connects the different weather stations across its one network. So you had mentioned 30 states have Mesonets already in place. Usually the most notable ones with that are Oklahoma and Kentucky. And so Louisiana is starting its Mesonet project, and we're hoping to, with time, become a well-known Mesonet network.
Yeah. So Dylan, to you, your side of things is really a lot of times is the installation part of it. Now, I can go down to a local, you can go online to different places, and I could order me a weather station to put at my house, okay? And it's going to go and it's going to record some of the main things that I want there with it. And I have a weather station there at my house, but my weather station at my house is nothing like what you're installing out there across the state of Louisiana there with it. So in your installation, and you have something out there, what's it measuring there? What kind of elements is it taking in and the information it's spitting out?
So we have many different instruments spread across the tower in its entirety. So we're getting wind speeds at 2 different levels, temperatures at 3 different levels, dew point at head height, which would be our official observing range, pressure, soil moisture, and temperature. It has a rain gauge on it, and we're also getting solar radiation as well as I think that's about all of it. We
Well,
also
yep.
have a camera mounted to it as well.
Right, because I was actually going to say that because you have a camera mounted to it, because I was looking at it and it does a time lapse of snapshots of 12 hours, and I was able to look at some of those locations and see the rain falling within the past 24 hours when we're recording this right now, which I think was very interesting, and going and looking at it. But two, you have to have space for this, Dylan, right? Because I have my home weather station out there, and it's in a neighborhood. That's not a good place for observations. What's the ideal location that you look for to put one of these sites on?
So typically our minimum requirement that we look for would be a 100-meter radius from the tower itself in all directions, where it's clear of buildings and trees.
Yeah, so that's obviously important. Emily, you were talking, about you, and I made a comment too. There's 30 states with them, and now Louisiana has them. Can you give me an idea of how many we have and how many maybe we may be seeing coming online here soon? Because I know on your website it shows something like that. So what are we currently looking at? Because I know you have to reach out to people sometimes to find a location for the next site to put up.
Yeah, so right now we have, I believe, 11 operating stations, and we have some numbers first instead to write it down. We have 6 that have had their concrete poured, because Mesonets installed in concrete as an anchor, and so we have 6 ready to go. We're just waiting on a little bit of equipment and some time with the semester ending to go back out there. And then there's about 24 that have been like either approved, we're waiting on paperwork, or they're going into construction. And so they have like a PO issued. And so that's just getting on that. And so it leaves about, like 9 areas that are also still going through approval. We just did a few inspections and some coming up. So it's almost covered. As far as the ones that will coming up online soon, hopefully we have the 6 coming up throughout May and into June. And then our southern sites will start going up whenever summer starts. The rain has had a little bit of a damper just because it makes the concrete truck a little bit difficult to get out there. Sometimes it washes the road away entirely. So we are hopeful that we'll have a few up in the coming months.
And I'm going to stick with you, Emily, on this here, because I know this is more of your area with it, because I'm just curious, because it just comes to my mind instantly, is that you have to reach out to landowners. You look at certain things. But if somebody was watching this right now and they said, hey, I got land, my site might be ideal, and I know y'all are looking for specific locations to sort of fill the gaps in, but if somebody's watching this, is this something where that they could reach out to you, or you trying to reach out to people? How exactly does that work?
Oh, it can work both ways. And I wrote down because I was hoping to kind of do a little bit of a plug. The Arcadia region is the last target area within our northern parishes that we need. And so if someone wants to reach out to us directly, they can email the Mesonet, and it's just mesonet at ulm.edu. That's also available on our contact part of our webpage. I always say you can also just Google me. I have a lot of my own information out there on ULM, and so that would give my direct email and my phone number if someone wants to chat about it. And so if someone thinks that they have enough land, or if it's in their target area, or even if they're just interested, because we have 50 sites that we want to have upgoing right now, excuse me. We are hoping in the future to have another 50. So there's 100 throughout Louisiana, which would give, I believe, almost 2 per parish. And so, yeah, I can always put them on as a back burner if it's in an area that already has a Mesonet, or even if they're just interested. I'm always happy to chat about the project.
Yeah. Dylan, so you out there doing the installations there on it and doing it from start to finish out there with it. How long does it normally maybe take you, if the weather doesn't mess it up at least, to install one of these?
Our last 2 we've done, we got in 4 hours, I believe, which has been very quick work by us, and slowly but surely we're getting it quicker as time goes on, as we get more and more experience and doing things different ways that may be easier in the long run.
And then 2, once you install them, are they pretty much, this may not be your area, maybe you know it though, do they pretty much go online almost instantly afterwards, and then the public are able to start having access to it?
So typically, as soon as everything's plugged in and we have power to it, data is already going to be sent back to our servers here in Monroe. And typically, it's 2 to 3 days after we plug it in that we'll start to see data straight to the website.
So I guess for either one of you, how important is something like this? Because the National Weather Service already has out observation places around the state of Louisiana. I'm just using Louisiana, for example. But are we finding out, though, again, that still, even with all the observation places, we're still sometimes missing data because we just don't have enough of them? And people don't realize this stuff's important as well for weather forecasting, to plug things in, as far as looking at different pieces of data that's out there. And these are very, very vital. So, how important is it to have a network like this?
You may go, or you got it.
Sorry, Dylan.
Okay. I think saying
I
you
was
got
just
it,
letting you
Emily.
go.
You got it.
Okay. It's very important. We call it having, ground truth data, because there's nothing better than having something literally in the ground or right where weather is going to be. And so the target areas that we're putting them in, and those were again identified with the National Weather Service offices, the 4 or the 3 in Louisiana, and then Jackson. So we put them there because those offices said, hey, there may be some, Davis weather station, or there's nothing out there. And, models can say one thing, but it's better to have the actual data. And so that helps fill in that coverage gap on a more localized scale, especially in our western parishes. What was it, 2 years ago? They had their drought, and there wasn't a big soil monitor. Really, there's no soil monitor throughout Louisiana. And so they were under a D3, D4 drought. And so they were asking for federal funds to be able to do their crops and stuff, but there wasn't data to support that they were under a severe drought like that. And so this Mesonet serves that purpose as well for the localized scale with agriculture, but then also just, you can look outside, you can see it's raining, and it can rain maybe an inch, but if your authorized weather station is in an airport or 30 minutes down the road and it didn't rain over there, there was technically no rain. And so this helps fill those little smaller areas, and that is where having an additional 50, hopefully in the future, gets those target areas down even more, and so there's less coverage gaps throughout the state.
Okay. We'll wrap things up with you two here because we have a couple of minutes left there with it. I guess I'll ask Dylan here, just as sort of off topic, not necessarily specifically about the Mesonet, but you got into meteorology. I'm just curious, was when you got into it, did you think this is what you were going to be doing? I'm just curious, or did you have other things in mind?
I for sure had other things in mind, especially in this field. There's so many things you could go into, but after getting into it, though, I've found my love for instrumentational meteorology. And so not going into it, no, but now that I'm here, yes.
Okay. So what about for you, Emily? Just curious.
So I've always loved helping people and wanting to do something with the public. I unfortunately don't have a weather story of why I love the weather itself. It's always just stemmed from if I can help someone out 5 minutes with warning, or just the general knowledge, and to help the public grow as to why meteorologists are important. And your weather app can't just give you the weather. We do need boots on the ground. This is that helpful with it. So it combines my love with clouds and weather and rain, with the social aspect of it, of meeting with the community, and just helping everyone from, little crawfish farmer to your federal funds and everywhere in between.
And with our final minute, I got a quick question for the two of you. Does one local National Weather Service meteorologist that's graduated from ULM come over there and harass y'all every once in a while named Jason? I'm just curious.
Jason's a good.
Oh, yeah.
Jason's a good guy.
He's already been on the podcast twice. I'm good friends with Jason. And I'm going to say this much. Great people at the National Weather Service here in Shreveport. They do a tremendous job. Once again, everybody, if you're interested in following along here as far as the Mesonet, that website is mesonet.ulm.edu. And you can go there and check it out. And again, if you want to check out our other episodes of the Barksdale Bubble, we have them there that you can go and end up downloading. We appreciate the time for this episode from both Emily and also from Dylan to contribute to our discussion here of, talking about weather and different things you may not be realize about. And again, this just shows you the Mesonet's there to help us out. Thanks, everybody.